as even that has ramped up a little bit as it's pushed to the east. So again, we've got, if you're just tuning in, we've got quite a few tornado warnings west of the metro, going to be pushing their way into the metro. And in fact, a lot of those are riding right along I-80. And I know we've got a lot of traffic this time of day that's pushing right along I-80, but not a good setup, not a good situation we've got going on here. So Winterset, you got 8 minutes, and again, radar scans usually take a couple minutes, so you're probably sitting more around 5 minutes. St. Charles, 24 minutes. Bevington coming in at 25, Martinsdale at 29, Cumming 31, Norwalk 37, the Des Moines International Airport coming in at 41 minutes. And it looks like we've extended that warning on that tornado warning near Perry. I want to get back to Shear Tracker here. Perry, this is on top of you right now. We're going to zoom in. I'm going to go street level with you, but that's some intense rotation we're talking right there. And it's likely in town right now. So get to your safe space. If you're watching me right now, get me on your phone, load the app, and stream us, and we'll get you through this. But this is some pretty decent rotation we're seeing. This is just on the western edge of town. Again, with how radar scans work, this is likely in town already, but I'll read some streets to you that it's on. 130th Street, 142nd Place. This is working along Willis Avenue. This is 141st Street, pushing its way towards Perry Yard. K Avenue, Ivy Place is where we're seeing this. So a lot going on. I'm going to zoom out just a little bit further here, and we'll go and see if we've gotten any more reports. Again, I've got the reports turned on. These will pop up as the National Weather Service gets reports of damage, gets reports of tornadoes or hail. And right now, you can see the only tornado reports we've gotten were in eastern Nebraska, but I've got to think with how intense these look that we could be seeing something. And good to note that tornado warning we had down to the southeast near Sheridan has been allowed to expire. That cell still likely has some large hail on it though, but I'm going to zoom in on that momentarily, and then we're going to hop back up to the tornado warnings because those are going to be making their way through the metro. That core still very strong, Sheridan. This working its way to the northeast, so Lovelia. We're talking about that crossing to you. It's crossing over Highway 34 right now with some large hail, as well as Highway 5. And northern portions of this line as well have been strong, mainly a wind threat up there. You can see the line looks a little bit more ragged, but we'll zoom in on these the trio of tornado warnings that we've got, and I'm hoping you can see how it's becoming a little messier down here. That's a really good thing. Hopefully that continues to happen, and we see some of these bits of rotation start to die out a little bit. But going back to Shear Tracker, you can see that dot made its way through Perry now. It's moving pretty fast. Winterset, this is passing just on the northern edge of town as we talked about. This is working its way across Highway 169. Right now, this is going to be pushing just to the northern edge of Patterson. I want to zoom in a little bit further and take a look at some of the roads that we've got. Again, that's the area of rotation. You can see it expanding down. A lot of times that's inflow into the leading edge of the line. So it shows up as rotation, but it's not the main core rotation that we're focusing on. That's just to the north of Winterset right now. So as we hop over to velocity, you can see that right there. So Winterset, I know this is just on the northern edge of town. Stay in that safe space for a little bit longer. Again, this is going to be moving fast. This line has been blowing through the state. It entered the state at around 2:30, 3 o'clock. It's 4:30 and it's almost to I-35. So we'll get back to your Shear Tracker here, and you can see this is right along 195th Street, 200th Street. Going to be working its way over North 1st Street, Cedar Bridge Road as well, Highway 92. So stay in shelter for a little bit longer. I want to hop back a little bit to the north here. Stewart, you're kind of in between these warnings, as are you, Redfield. Again, the most little potent area rotation we've got right now is right over Perry. Perry, you have to be in that safe space if you're not. Boughton, you're next. This is headed right for you. This is going to be crossing over Highway 169 momentarily and Highway 141. Right down the line, we're talking about Woodward. So this is going to be working its way eastward towards Madrid. Got a beautiful bike trail up there, and this is going to be pushing right along that too. So I'm going to put a new track on this as we've just gotten new data in. So give me a second here to do that. But you can see we're going to have to look even northeast of Jefferson there. You can see that little red dot. Again, it might not mean that there's rotation there, but it's an algorithm that really is good at picking up on it. So we may be seeing something develop there. I'll check that in a second. But we're going at around 40 miles per hour. Woodward, you got 10 minutes. Madrid coming at 18 minutes. Luther, 22 minutes. Sheldall, 27 minutes. Slater, you've got 28 minutes. Kelly coming in at 31 minutes. Alleman coming in at 33 minutes. And I'm going to go zoom back up here just to make sure we're not seeing anything happen. We may be seeing a little area rotation start to pop up there. We're going to hop between some of our different tools here. Doesn't look as clean there. So there may be some rotation there. It's not as strong as we're seeing in other spots. So I do think that shear tracker may be fibbing to me a little bit. You go northward on the line and you can still see very strong winds, but we're not seeing the rotational component that we're seeing to the south. So we're going to stick there. Fort Dodge, brace for some strong winds. Rockwell City, you're in the thick of it. Boone, really strong core winds working its way your way. That's it over Jefferson right now. Jefferson, you're likely seeing very heavy rain and very strong winds to around 65, 70 miles per hour or so. So zooming back out, that storm near Sheridan, let's take a look at the impacts. That still has some hail on it. And we've got more storms to the south. Those likely won't move in as this line's been moving nearly due east, but still some really strong storms on the edge of this line here. So I'm going to zoom in on both of these as they push into the metro. And gosh, it'd be nice to get a radar update here, but you can see to the north of Perry, we've been tracking that little area of rotation for a bit. Let's hop over to Super Doppler 8, and really that bulge, you can just see it there and the inflow there. That is really strong rotation, especially for the leading edge of the line. Usually these don't bite on and latch to that area of rotation quite as long, but this has been very persistent. So one we're going to have to continue to keep an eye on. I want to hop over to our debris tool here and see if we can see anything. Not looking at anything there. Again, this is usually better viewed with some of the supercells that move through and they pick up and fling that debris. You get a line like this, and it doesn't work out quite the same with how the wind flow works, but still looking at some areas of rotation to the north of Winterset, though. That may have weakened just a bit. Become just a little bit more messy. So that would be a good thing if that's the case. You can still see to the south, though, near St. Charles, we've at least got some solid winds there, especially along the leading edge of that line. Those blues are upwards of 60 miles per hour. So they have extended the severe thunderstorm warning now to include Indianola, all the way down to nearly Sheridan. Again, the tornado warnings that we have got working through Perry. That little ball of rotation that we saw east of Perry now, again, that's going to be working towards Woodward. That's going to be working towards Madrid. We have got that other area of rotation that we saw down near Winterset. That's continuing eastward as well. And we're going to stick with you guys for a while here until these areas of rotation start to die down, because this isn't a good time to have this. I mean, it never is, but especially when it's dark outside, you don't want to be seeing the tornadic potential because people aren't really awake to deal with it. So that area of rotation still along 169. That line as it's moving in, man, it's not really losing too much steam, is it? But again, north of Winterset, we're seeing that bit of rotation. You get a little further to the south, look at the winds here. I'll measure some of these for you, but really strong stuff. We're talking upwards of 65 miles per hour. Wouldn't doubt that we're seeing some pockets of slightly stronger winds, though again, we've only verified at around 62 for a lot of these. So we'll see what ends up happening here, but you get that bulge out along the line there and a bulge out of that wind, and that's pretty indicative of some very strong winds within that. Likely still have some hail just to the northeast of Osceola. We'll go to your impact tracker and you can see it there. Again, hail has not been the main threat today, but we have seen ping pong ball size hail on some of these. Sounds like reports of power outages in Perry, 45 mile per hour wind gusts. Again, that little area rotation made its way right over the top of Perry. Let's go back up there as we still have that tornado warning on that one. You look at velocities, shear tracker's been really good at tracking this. You can see that there. So I'm gonna zoom in back to street level. Perry, I hope you're doing okay. I know this went right over the top of you. M Avenue, we're talking 130th Street, N Avenue, crossing over Highway 169. Boughton, we talked about it. It's nearly on top of you now. Get to that safe space. Get to the basement. get to that centermost room. This rolled over Perry, we've got power outages there now. That could mean that it was tornadic. So we don't want the same thing to happen to you, but it may, and if it is going to, you got to get to safety. So Boughton, you've got maybe a minute or two to get yourself downstairs, to get yourself to shelter as this careens its way eastward. Again, that's right along 130th Street, working its way towards I Avenue. N Avenue and M Avenue are where the main areas of rotation are right now, and that area of rotation may have jogged north Boughton. You may have lucked out a little bit here. Let's hop over to velocities. You can see that notch right there. I'm going to hop between a couple different things here quickly, but that's kind of developing even a little bit stronger. So Woodward, this is going to pass just on the northern edge of town. Let's get back to shear tracker here. I want to put a new track on this. This may be headed upwards towards Luther, maybe on the southern edge of Luther. But these have been moving pretty quick. You could see the jump that made. Even just in the last few minutes. So keep that in mind as I talk about the speed and the timing of these, is you just may not have that much time. Madrid says 11 minutes, Luther coming in at 14, Slater coming in at 22 minutes. We have got Kelly coming in at 23, Huxley 27, Ames at 29, Cambridge coming in at 32. So I'm going to hop back statewide here, John, and I'm going to keep analyzing some things. I'm going to throw back to you. I see you looking at quite a few of the different storms that we've got on radar. What are you tracking right now?
Jason, they just now, National Weather Service just issued a new severe thunderstorm warning. Now, this does include the metro for obvious reasons. We've been talking about it all morning. Very strong winds associated with this. And this is a severe thunderstorm warning that's going to be in place for about, let's see, it's going to be with us as we go through the rest of this morning until 4:40. It's until about 5:30 a.m. this morning. And if your phones going off, alarms, sirens are going off, is because these are very strong winds associated with this. So it is west of the metro right now, but it is going to be making towards Des Moines, Ankeny, and even, of course, Ames. But, of course, Ames, you are also going to be in path of that potential rotation, that potential tornado that we have been tracking, as Jason has been tracking. But I want to bring attention to what we have been seeing further to the south. Just west of Indianola, this bulge, that's going to be showing a chance for those very strong winds, about 70 miles per hour or even greater, maybe even potentially close to that 80 mile per hour range. I do want to put a quick track on this because you're going to be seeing this in Indianola and surrounding areas. Yeah.
I'm going to take over.
Go for it.
A new tornado warning in that includes Dallas Center, Johnston, Polk City, and Ankeny. So we're continuing to see these areas of rotation kind of spark up. I'm going to hop over to Shear Tracker, and you can see why they issued that. That little area of rotation just to the south of Dallas Center now is what we're tracking. So you can see that's just to the east of Highway 69. Grimes, you're right down the line from this. This is going to be working its way again towards Johnston, probably over Saylorville Lake. So I'm going to zoom in. We'll go street level with you. Again, this is just to the south of Dallas Center. Dallas Center, you got to get to that safe space. That rotation right next to you. 260th Street, where that intersects R Avenue, upwards towards 250th Street. This is working its way to the east. That's going to be T Avenue. And as we zoom out a little bit, I'm going to get a track on this. Again, Grimes, you got to be in your safe space now. Polk City, Granger, Johnston, I would get there too. This area rotation just kind of spun up, and we still have that strong area rotation headed towards Madrid. Madrid, get to your safe space. Woodward, likely right next to you right now. So you've got to be in that safe space as well. I'm going to hop back over to our tracker tool here, and we'll put a new track on this one. To the tune of 40 miles per hour or so. Grimes, you got around 11 minutes. Johnston coming in at 18 minutes. Polk City coming in at 20 minutes. Ankeny, you got 26. Alleman, 29. Elkhart, 34. Bondurant coming in at 36. I want to zoom a little bit further to the north. Anytime we start to see these red dots kind of flare up, I want to make sure on velocities we're not seeing any couplets. It doesn't appear so, though we'll have to keep an eye on this just to the south of Dayton. To see if that's tightening up at all. But as far as it goes with that line right now, we're likely talking 60 mile per hour winds. But as we go up and down this, you can see a bit of rotation there. Let's hop over to shear, and you can see just how strong that is. So I'm going to zoom in street level here. Again, this is west of Madrid. This is working its way over M Avenue. This is eventually pushing towards 315th Street. This is going to likely pass just on the northern edge of Madrid. So Woodward, this is passing north of you. I would still stay in shelter, stay in place right now, because these things can kind of wobble around a little bit. You're likely seeing the very strong winds along with this anyway. Some of these winds, again, have been upwards of 60, even 70 miles per hour, at least radar indicated. Right now, these are sitting around 57 to 60 miles per hour. So really strong stuff working its way on in. I'm going to zoom out a little bit further, and you can see this pushing its way in, and you get a signature like this, and you can literally see the rotation on radar of it just swinging that rain around. We'll go to the south here a little bit. Again, that storm that we've had near Winterset. We'll go to your shear tracker here. That's become a lot messier and a lot less tight. Looking at velocities, I don't know if this is going to continue to be an issue. Hopefully we drop that warning off, and it's not. But that rotation, not nearly as tight as we had seen it before. So that's good news. Southern portions of the metro, if this continues to weaken, you're likely still going to see that very strong and potentially damaging winds, but at least the rotation won't be a problem. And they did drop that warning off. So that's good news. Still dealing with a couple of these bad boys, though, and I'm going to zoom in on both of them. I know we've got, zooming back out, I know we've got a lot going on. We've got storms up by the Minnesota border. We've got the 2 tornado warned storms, and you can see just the mess of severe thunderstorm warnings for winds for 60 to 70 miles per hour. Look at the core of the winds back here, too. You get into the blues, you're talking 70 miles per hour. And again, you get a little bit further to the west, that's likely reading some more upper level winds that we may not be seeing at the surface. But if we bring those down, look out, that's not a good situation. So I'm going to zoom back into the 2 tornado warnings that we've got working their way between the metro and Ames. That area rotation west of Madrid, very strong right now, especially for a situation like this where they're along a line. So that continuing to push to the east. I'm going to put a new track on that, and we'll see where it's headed. But again, Woodward, this is just to the north of you. Madrid, you got to stay in shelter. And Sheldal, 16 minutes. Slater, 17. Kelly coming in at 19. Huxley coming in at 23 minutes. Cambridge, 28. Nevada coming in at 36. Maxwell coming in at 38. And again, this storm that we've got that's working its way towards Saylorville Lake, that rotation may have weakened a little bit. Let's hop back over to velocities. Still a bit of a notch there. You can see that blue right there. That's where we're seeing the strongest rotation. So it may not be showing up on our shear tracker, but it sure looks like it's still very strong. And right now, we're getting pretty close to the radar. That radar is just in Johnston. So this may start to pass over the radar, which will kind of muddle our feed a little, our data feed here a little bit, but we're going to continue to stick with that because we know the general track of it. That's really no question there, but look it up by Madrid. Not a good situation. Really a wide area of rotation that we're seeing. The tightest is just to the northwest of Madrid. So this is pushing its way through, going to be the northern edge of town. Are those new tornado warnings, John, or is that?
I mean, they're extending these tornado warnings.
They're extending them,
yep,
okay.
Exactly.
Okay, so that area rotation working its way along 315th Street, S Avenue, Rose Road is where we're looking. And you can see the strong winds that we've got to the west there too. Even after the rotation passes by, we're likely still talking winds of around 60, 65 miles per hour. So hang tight, guys. We've got a lot going on this morning. You can see just how far they've expanded this. This includes areas like Kelly. This does include Ames now too. So I'll zoom out a little bit further, and I'm going to put a new track on this one for you. That main area rotation, a little bit wider. I think the core of it's right there. But I'm going to put a little bit wider of a box on this just to account for the wider area of rotation. So again, this has been moving to the northeast around 40 miles per hour. Luther, you got 4 minutes. Kelly, you got 15. Ames, you're talking 21. Nevada, you're talking 33 minutes. And we've got, again, the storm that's working its way towards the radar. So this is going to look really messy. And you can see this dot right here. You probably heard it on the movie Twister, the cone of silence. This is what that really means. You can't see it when you're standing outside, but that's a spot where, you know, our beams point up in the circular fashion around that radar. It can't see directly above it. So we're going to continue to track this one as it makes its way in, but it's going to be a little harder to see that data as it does that. But you can see that rotation right there is what we're looking at. So our shear tracker doesn't really pick up on it because we're so close to the radar. but we know where it is. We can see it on radar. So I'm going to put a new track on that for you guys too, and we'll get a timeout here for you of when that's going to be where you are. But this is just on the northern edge of Waukee there. You can see it. So working its way to the northeast, around 40 miles per hour. Johnston, you got 10 minutes. Ankeny coming in at 19 minutes. Elkhart, 27 minutes. Bondurant, 28. Altoona, 28. Mitchellville, 36. Mingo coming in at 42 minutes. And we are seeing more bulges along this line. So as this has shifted its way to the east, it's not really losing that much intensity. I mean, it's the wind threat, the overall wind threat has lessened some, but these areas of rotation have not. And you can see that right there, again, as an area of rotation that we're tracking. Shear Tracker, I'm sure, is very excited about that. You can see it right there. Again, we've talked about that one quite a bit. I want to keep an eye on some of the other parts of this line that we're watching to make sure there's no other parts where they're rotating. Really strong winds south of Indianola right now. Maybe even a little bit more rotation down. Let's zoom in on this, actually. That little guy right there, that doesn't make me happy. Let's hop over to the shear tracker. Might be seeing this start to develop into a little bit of rotation too. So Bussy, Lavelia, Tracy, I know you're under or close to a severe thunderstorm warning right now. We'll see what happens with this over the next couple scans of radar, but that is starting to rotate. We're going to have to keep an eye on that for potential development there. Yeah, and in fact, I'm just going to put a track on it for you to keep you guys safe. Again, these have been moving around 40 miles per hour, so we'll put it out at 40 miles per hour. Hope nothing happens with it, but if something does, you know when it's going to be there. Bussy coming in at 15 minutes, Tracy coming in at 25, Layton coming in at 30, Beacon 32, Oskaloosa at 35, University Park coming in at 36. And thankfully, that just went away. Let me check on velocities quick. Yes, that's weakened. That is great news. So you can still see all of this mess that we've got, though, upwards towards Boone now. Sorry, I know this, I'm moving pretty quick on the map, but I just want to get to things. So north of Madrid, that's the area of circulation that we're talking about right here is where we're seeing that. So this is looks like it's going to punch right between Ames and Huxley. This is continuing to push to the east. Hasn't lost a lot of steam with the rotation. The winds have dropped off a little bit. We'll read some of those. Again, when we were reading these in western portions of the state, even on Omaha radar, they were upwards of 70 to 80 miles per hour. So that threat has backed down a little bit. You'll still likely get some wind damage from 60 mile per hour winds. But these are still a little tight area of rotation that we're tracking, working its way over Luther right now. So guys, you need to be in your safe space. Kelly, this is right on track for you. This is right along Highway 17, Napier. I would be in your safe space as well as this continues to push to the east. We're on S Avenue, Sage Avenue, T Avenue, just to the east of Luther. This is right along 270th Street, downwards towards 290th Street. That's that main area of rotation that we have been tracking. So I'll hop over to storm relative velocity that takes into account the motion of the storms, not just the overall speed of everything that the radar's reading. And you can see a clear couplet right over Luther right now. I want to zoom back in on that because that's where the strongest area of rotation is, right here. It's right over the top of you, Luther. So again, make sure that you are in your safe space. We've got just a lot of storms out there. In fact, I'll go statewide quick and show you guys what we're dealing with here. So this line made its way in from Nebraska, and still a whole lot of rain behind it. And we've seen it become a little more ragged on the southern edge, which is good news. That means the threat has diminished some. Still dealing with a wind threat down there. We've had some storms fire up out in front of the line. Some of those had gone tornadic for a little bit. That rotation's really died down, though. So we're still seeing some hail makers, some strong winds to the west of Ottumwa. But the main storms we're tracking right now are the ones that are pushing through the metro, though we still have those severe thunderstorm warnings to the north near Kossuth County, working their way right into Kossuth County and towards Fort Dodge. These, again, largely for 60 mile per hour winds. But I'm going to zoom back down to the south here, and we're going to continue to track these. John, I don't know if you want to take a closer look at these.
Yeah.
The tornado warning storms that we've got, again, Madrid pushing towards Huxley, Ames, and this is working its way along the northern edge of the metro. So John will have a closer look at both of those for you. John.
Yeah, Jason, you keep on mentioning how we're starting to lose a little visibility with this storm system getting so close to the radar in Johnston. And like Grimes right now, more of that rotation is still present. It's still a tornado warning storm, but I do want to point out that we do have our own KCCI radar. It's further north, so we do have a good picture as far as the radar is concerned, and you're still looking at these little kinks in this line, which can show and indicate that that rotation is still present, even though the Johnston radar can't pick that up. So even right now, over Grimes, going towards Polk City, you're still going to have that chance for that rotation even touching the ground, so the potential of that tornado is still going to be there. We'll go ahead and put another track on that using this radar imagery just to see just exactly where that's headed, how long it's going to take for it to get there. Going further out, you're going to be looking at Polk City here in the next less than 5 minutes before that rotation moves over. It's very fast moving as it makes its way further east. Elkhart looking close around 15 minutes. Cambridge 22 minutes. Maxwell half an hour. Mingo, Collins, Colo. Beyond that, I know Colo, you just right around that most recent tornado as well. So you're still going to be looking at a chance for another round as we dig deeper into this in this morning. Now, as it gets further east of I-35, we are expecting it to start to weaken and break apart, and we're hoping that that is going to continue. But as of right now, that is just not the case. As we look further to the north, I want to talk about what to expect with this tornado. And even the radar imagery from our KCCI radar is not looking good. I'm going to switch over to the velocities on the Des Moines radars, looking closer to that right now east of Luther, seeing those really tight shades of green and red together. That contrast, it can kind of point towards where exactly that rotation is. So that's what we're seeing now east of Luther, going still, like we mentioned earlier, hopefully it's going to go south of Ames, north of Kelly, in between. However, areas in between, you're looking at a potential chance for some of that tight rotation. So we are, of course, going to keep a continuous eye on that. I'll put another tracker on that rotation as well, so we have a good idea of where it's going to go and how long it's going to take for it to get there. Looking at Ames, less than 15 minutes. Nevada, close around 24 minutes. Colo, like we talked about, even with this one, I know you're seeing some of the same cities on the map just because these are so close together that we could see that rotation get to these areas as we progress through the morning. They are having a little bit of a northerly component with them, so they could drift more so towards the northerly direction, like even zeroing 40 minutes. Now, that's if that rotation, of course, stays persistent like it has been. But even right now, zooming out, seeing the entire area, those two areas are the places as far as rotation. But really going just north of Decatur County all the way up to Webster County, you're looking at a decent chance for at least those very strong winds. We talked about 60-mile-per-hour winds, but also we've seen the reports of around 70 and even close to 80-mile-per-hour winds with this system in its history. So that is what we're also looking for the majority of the state, which is why we have that severe thunderstorm watch in place and these severe thunderstorm warnings in place, which they just now issued a new one as we look at further to the south of the metro, even for the southern edge of the metro. So I'm getting the information on that, and I'm going to put a tracker on it so we can see just exactly where it's headed and how long it's going to take for it to get there. Looks like that information is just now coming in, so it is moving. It's history of 70-mile-per-hour winds. So, of course, that is going to trigger those sirens as well. So that's why if you're waking up to those, you're tuning in, that's why you're hearing them, because it's going to be very destructive winds potentially in that direction. It's moving east at 60 miles per hour, so I'm going to put a pretty large tracker on this just so that we can get some cities on here and some timing, because it has that bowing out feature. When you have this bulge in a severe thunderstorm like this, in a line of storms, that is going to indicate very strong winds associated with this. So as it just got a new radar image, I'm putting a big tracker on this going east about 55 miles per hour, 60 miles per hour. And let's go ahead and see just exactly. So very short term, Knoxville about 15 minutes. You're looking less than 10 minutes for Pleasantville, even Hartford and Lucas, Woodburn, Lacona, less than 10 minutes. In fact, Woodburn, Lacona, you're looking at 1 minute until we're going to see a lot more of those stronger winds. This is the system that's going to generate potentially up to 70 mile per hour, even close in that 70 to 80 mile per hour range. Very damaging when you have this type of bulge associated with it on the radar. So that's why that severe thunderstorm warning has just now been issued for these towns and cities. So definitely you want to treat this as a very strong wind situation, which is exactly what it is. And zooming things out, I want to continue to track the storms further to the north of the metro, because now we're starting to see this move even closer towards Ankeny. If you're Ankeny right now, you have to be in that safe space. Get in the basement, put as many walls in between you and the storm, because that rotation, we've been talking, it's difficult to see since it is just over the radar, but you still could be looking at more of that tight rotation. I do want to take another look at the KCCI radar.